Hi, my name is Ugalia Bebimi from Gale Films. I'm a filmmaker and video editor.
Hi, my name is Oniachulem Anita, and I'm in 500 level Information and Communication Engineering. That is long to pronounce. IC, IC for short, and I'm a film director.
My name is Olamide Kuferuji. I am a 500 level student studying in electrical electronics engineering, Governance University. And alongside my student endeavor or my academic endeavor, I run and I'm into music. I'm a music entrepreneur. I would like to call it I am a musicpreneur. So yeah, I'm a music producer. I play and major on the saxophone. I direct music. I'm also into event production and management and then slightly product development.
The journey so far as a creative, especially as a student, hasn't been super great. I won't even lie, because sometimes I myself, I find it hard to balance, right? Some people say you can balance things, but for me as a person, right, I believe one thing has to go for the other thing. So at some point, I put my creative life on a pause because this is something I intend to go fully into. So the journey has been here, but it's been an amazing journey, but with several experiences.
Started for me was I am someone that observes a lot. And then at my tender age when I was about 5 years old, I used to observe instrumentalists in church, always playing with zeal and everything. And I told myself one day I could do this. And I desired to actually do these things. So the other cliche story for people is there's always a family trait of music. Most musicians, there's always a family trait of music. But for me, it was a different case. None of my parents are into music, although my dad is a pastor. So I think that kind of influenced the environment where I was and the desire to actually want to be into music.
So I came into Covenant University, 100 level, 2017, and I joined technical crew. And then they introduced us to two softwares, Premiere Pro and After Effects. And then we used to have this creative class on Sundays, I think, for a few Sundays actually. It was Samuel Lumar that used to teach us back then, one of the bosses. So we're going to introduce the software basically. So that break when I went home, before I went home rather, I downloaded some tutorials. I went home to play around with these softwares, and I started playing around with them and everything. Little by little, I got into editing, started editing, and then okay. At first, honestly, my first video was nonsense. It was worse than a slideshow. Like I just put picture. I had this favorite song by Jamie Grace, and I just wanted to make something. So I went to Google, downloaded like pictures that related to it, and I just put it together, and I was so excited. And I brought it back to school, and I showed Shemun Adanike, one of also editors then, yeah. So he was looking at it, and then someone passed, and I was like, oh, Ogale did something, let me see. And then he looked at it and was like, are these not just pictures with music? And then he left, and I was so down. I was like, oh my God, it's like, this is not for me, slasher. But after some time, I picked it up again, I tried again, basically. And I started getting better, I started building up. And then from editing, I decided that, when you get to this point where you're editing and you feel like, oh, this shot should have been like this and like this. So I decided to try out videography. And then I started picking up a camera, trying videography, and the journey has just been like that. Okay, honestly, it just makes me happy. Like, editing makes me happy. That's why editing is hard, low-key. Like, it takes time, and if you don't like it, you'll just literally be frustrated. But it's something I enjoy doing. It's something that is kind of my form of relaxation most times, right? I've tried coding, I've tried different things, but I didn't really find as much satisfaction as I found in editing and videography. Basically, it just makes me happy. Like being able to create something and then seeing the smiles on people's faces from what I created just gives me satisfaction.
For me, music works perfectly for me because I see it as a thing of I finally got to understand that it's more like a calling for me, in the sense that most times when I do every other thing outside music, they still find a way to fall back into music, in a sense. So observing myself a lot of times that even if I'm studying in class, elect stuff, and we're trying to talk about waves and everything. It's just this relationship between how amplitude is to the same way you're mixing a track, how the wave files and music and everything. So there was so many things that I went through in life just still pointed back to music for me. So even if I was having a conversation, most of my friends then in secondary school were all musicians. Just I remember my mom asking me that question, is it that you only have music friends? And I was like, no, I don't, but like you see me with these people because there's just this joy. There's this joy I get.
I think one thing that would set me apart, because I'm still going into it, is my drive, right? I'm the kind of person that once I set my mind to do something, I do it. And then there's this mantra I go by, right? If it's by Anita, it must be excellent. So I would not go into something if the end result or end product per se is semi-excellent. I don't know if there's a word, semi-excellent. I don't know if there's a word like that. So I think in the long run, that is something that would definitely set me apart.
So in the music industry, it's a very competitive industry, as we know. And then my unique, do I say my unique selling point? Do I say that? So, okay. I believe in sharing, so why not? So my unique selling point is the fact that I believe that there's actually more to music. It's not so direct in my sense, but there's more to music. There's a lot you can achieve. Even if I'm not doing music today, there's still a lot I would achieve. So the difference between myself and other people, as the question is that I've tried to understand everything that makes music successful, in the sense that referrals are important, relationships are important, excellence is important, being timely in delivery is also very important. And then as a student, these things have actually even affected these unique selling points I think I have, or I know I have, rather. Yeah, so that's my unique selling point.
Honestly, I don't really have role models in that field. I'll just say, I just say a lot of things online, and then these things give me ideas, inspire me to do better. I can't pinpoint any number of people, but I'll just say there are a lot of people that I don't have specific role models. Like when I just see people doing different things, like on social media, you see a lot of things. You start following people, seeing their works, seeing their growth process. When you go down to someone's page and see how they started and where they are now, like just all of those things. So I'm kind of that kind of person that observes from afar and just gets inspiration.
In Nollywood, I happen to look up to Kemi and Detiba, Omoni Oboli. The reason why I really love them is, I mean, I'm a female. I'm not being feminist in quotes, but these are like top-notch directors. And then what I really like Omoni Oboli is she acts. Sometimes she directs her movie, and she's super good. Because I don't also just want to be directing. In future, so I intend to act in some of my movies. And then for Hollywood, someone I really love is the Kendrick brothers. Those are the producers of Overcomers, Courageous, if you know those kind of movies, right? And the reason I love them is Alex Kendrick is a director, he's an actor. I think he even edits his own movie. That's like three in one. So those are like top notch people. And then I like Priscilla Shirai. Priscilla Shirai is someone that acts in movies too as well. I think she produces her movies, but I'm not sure. But she was a star actor in War Room. So I like this kind of people because I like when people act in their movies, produces their movies, and then edits their movies as well. And also my mentor, Finn. I happen to mention him a lot because I tell him I see him, he's driven. He's someone that's really driven. Then at his young age, I know how much feat he has accomplished. So it's someone that pushes me. That pushes me.
Okay, so my role models, people I would love to emulate anytime, any day, the likes of Kenny G. Kenny G is a super amazing jazz soprano player. And then with the way he has been able to strike a balance with music and then his other life outside music, it's just so amazing. And then narrowing down to Nigeria, we have the likes of BJ Sachs. And then BJ Sachs is like I have this direct access with him. He studied mechanical engineering also in his university in his younger days. And then right now he's just doing music. He told me he has never used his certificate for anything. It has just been music. And then there's just this access to people. These relationships are just built because of your passion. So like, I shouldn't jeopardize relationships. So through my music, I've built a lot of relationships. So it's just very glaring that I think music is for me.
So typically, this is how it all starts. I get an idea. And honestly, not all ideas have come into life, right? Have come to life. But the ones that actually, I get an idea and then I try to think of the possibilities of making it happen. Basically, consider different things. How can I do this? How can I do that? And all of that, right? Let me just give an example of a video and tell you the whole process from beginning to end. So there was a period in time I was learning about sound design more. That was like 2020 lockdown period, right? And then all of a sudden I had this idea to do this car video, right? If you check my page, it's still there, a car bureau and all of that. So yeah, I was thinking about it. I wrote down a short list. Oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I'm like, okay, where's the camera I'm going to use? I didn't have a camera then. Then I didn't know what to do. My siblings, none of them had an iPhone then. I didn't even have a phone, right? So I remember that my cousin was around and he had an iPhone, so I decided to use the opportunity. Okay, next, what car am I going to use? And who is going to drive it? Where is the location and everything? So I spoke to my dad. He was first hesitant. What's English? Hesitant, right? So, but eventually he agreed. And then who was going to be the driver? I had my brother. So I just basically looked around me to get what I needed to achieve what I wanted, right? So we went ahead. We drove there that day, and then I started shooting with the phone, just having fun. My brother was, receptive and everything, and it went great. Editing. So I started editing, and it was going okay. It was going smooth for a while. Let's just say what I had in my mind initially was not now what I was seeing, and I was so frustrated, right? At a point, I had to change the whole music. At a point, I decided to just, let it be one of those projects that never actually got completed. I was just actually frustrated at that point. So I just calmed down and prayed. I was like, God, please, like anything. And then it just hit, and I was able to put everything together, and it came out really nice, like really nice. So that was like my whole process, basically.
Okay, so this is a very good question because in the music space or any space whatsoever, there will always be conflict. So I believe in the power of peer resolution. Peer resolution in the sense that there's this understanding that we are doing this together for a particular purpose. And letting these people know that one person out of the system is not going to get the job done. So initially, when we were about to execute the task, I let all of you know that without this person, like nobody feels too special. I think that's the word. So peer resolution becomes handy and it's easier to implement in the sense that when you're talking to people that already understand their role in a particular project, I think conflicts can be minimized in a way. And then when the conflict's out of hand, you can also now use the other side, which is to let people know that nobody's indispensable. I've had experiences with a lot of musicians that we just, when you start, everything is good, nice, sweet, you're enjoying them, they play amazingly well. But when you start to progress, there's an expectation they're not patient enough to follow the process, and then they kind of draw you back in a sense. So it's just wisdom for you to know that, okay, your time is up. I don't think I can move forward. And I think the approach also matters. You don't necessarily have to just tell somebody, I don't want to work with you again. So I think peer resolution for conflict and also intentionality in the approach to solving these problems will help a lot.
There was a particular time that I was shooting, right, for one of my films at home. And then I remember I had to, because then I used to live on the mainland. I had to go from mainland to, I think we're shooting Lucky Face one that day. And then being a girl, not necessarily being a girl, but like, I don't know if the Yoruba was called Omolomo, Omo get inside per se. I'm not somebody that knows how to jump public transport. And then I'm not even so familiar with Uber because like driver takes me here and there. So that particular day I was to go for shoot and my driver wasn't around and was going to take public transport or Uber, one of them. So getting there we shot. And of course, production takes time. So that particular day I was out of the house the whole day. Getting back, my father was shouting, "See the time you're coming." I think I arrived by 9 p.m. "See the time you're coming. Why would you call me by this time?" Blah, 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 blah. In fact, my mom is like, she's going to call my other crew member, like, "Auntie, I can't go. She's not going. You're not paying her." So at some point, like, you have caused fights between me and the other person I was shooting. Then again, I think conflict is something that is inevitable, right? So one thing as a person is, or yeah, as a person, as an individual, is trying to understand where people are coming from, where you're coming from. I think one thing someone taught me is communication, right? So not necessarily just communication, but comprehension. So I can be saying something and you can be saying something, but the fact that you're saying something and I'm saying something, we're not understanding ourselves. The message has not been properly passed. And then it can cause conflict between us. So one thing I'm learning to is understand, or learning rather, is understanding and also tolerating the other person. So in terms like this, when we have conflict, what I try to do is sit back and, okay, this is where this person is coming from. This is where I'm coming from. What is the way forward? What do we do that this would affect us and this would affect us? So I sit back and then I try to find out what is the way forward. Because if we both lash out at ourselves, we just be making a whole lot of noise, right? So I think the first thing is sitting back and thinking what is the way forward. Then we talk it out and see how do we go from there. So that's something I try to do most of the time.
I believe that even though it's saturated, like you being unique in your own way, like you can always fit in.
I feel these happenings were just a test for me to really understand whether I'm actually called to do this or not. So I can now come to a conclusion and say, this is what I think I want to do.
By God's grace, I'm the director of operation of my brand. In few years from now, I see the best creatives from all.
Why are you starting? I believe that's the first reason. If you're starting because of money, it will be more frustrating.
All you have to do is sit back, enjoy, and interact. We're yours creatively.